design and all that, fine. But despite our best design practices, anything can go wrong during the service when it is being operated. So this is where this non-destructive testing comes in. Like, one thing is, any component that comes for testing, you can test it without actually destroying the component, and you can put it back in service. And you can also test the component in different stages of the process itself. So that is fundamentally what is non-destructive testing all about. And yeah, so basically what is NDTs? NDT is the process of doing inspections, testing or evaluating materials or components or assemblies for defects without testing. We are not destroying the material or the component. That is not being destroyed. That is the most important thing here. And such techniques are called non-invasive techniques, whereby we can determine the integrity of the material or the component or the structure. Let us say an aircraft or a train or a bus or a ship or whatever it is. In these kind of things, you can easily, you can actually assess the components as and when they are being used in service, or you can bring it to the lab and do the testing, or you can even go for preventive things. So where all we can use it, there is no restriction to where all we can use it actually. You can go for airline, aerospace industries, automotive, railroad, construction, hydroelectric, textile manufacturing, nuclear power, chemical, petrochemical, logistics, medical, pharmaceutical. Almost all the entire gamut of industries are covered as far as this entity is actually concerned. In fact, if you look at IGCAR in Kalpakkam, they have an exclusive NDT laboratory itself, where a lot of critical components come for analysis, and they'll have to because it's a 24/7 inspection that they'll have to always keep doing to ensure that the nuclear reactor is on and on. So the criticalities necessitate the fact that we have to continuously monitor such pressure vessels and other nuclear reactors. So that is where your NDT plays a very vital role. And what all kind of uses we can have? We can have flaw detection and evaluation. You can do the size and shape or the orientation of a flaw, such as a crack or porosity, let us say a welding defect or a casting defect or a forging defect. All these things can be evaluated. Leak detection in pressure vessels. Let us say you have a long oil pipeline. You want to do continuous monitoring of the oil pipeline. That can be done. Location determination, where you can identify clearly where the cracks are on structures or bridges or whatever it is. Then you can do dimensional measurements. Suppose you have very minute or very thin plates at all, you can do accurate dimensional measurements using what is called ultrasonic inspection. And then you can do structural and microstructural characterization. And then you can even estimate mechanical and physical properties to some of these methods. And you can do stress and dynamic response measurements in vibrations and things like that. Then you can sort out materials, two different materials. You can radiograph the materials and you can sort it out. And chemical composition also can be determined in some of these methods. Like let's say you have a very small coating on a tool, cutting tool. You want to evaluate the thickness of the cutting tool. Normally it will be in the order of micrometers. So, and it is subject to a lot of wear and tear when the cutting tool is in operation. So I can use some of these methods like eddy current testing or ultrasonic inspection to actually determine the effect of corrosion on these surfaces, or the effect of friction on these surfaces. And similarly, you can even check hardness of a material. You can even check electrical conductivity also. We have something called eddy current testing, where different stages of the life cycle. Okay, so which means it can be used to assist in product development. It can be used to screen or sort incoming materials, which means raw materials which are just entering into the factory can be screened. It can be used to monitor, improve, or control the manufacturing processes at different stages. You want to regulate the manufacturing processes, it can be done. and you can verify whether the processing is happening properly or not, such as a heat treatment process, for example. You are taking a component out of the manufacturing window and putting it into a heat treating crucible or a furnace, and then you want to check how well this heat treatment is being done. So you can use non-destructive testing to actually evaluate the materials even as they are being in the production cycle itself, and to verify assemblies. Okay, very complicated assemblies. For example, as we go from a smaller part, from a pencil to a space shuttle, if you see, starting from a pencil to a space shuttle, the number of parts goes from something like 5 parts in a pencil to probably lakhs of parts in a space shuttle. So I can use, and everything is in an assembly. I mean, everything works as an assembly. So one part is not controlled properly or goes unregulated, it affects the other part, and therefore it can have a collateral damage. We have seen the Columbia space shuttle also, what happened to it. So despite our best design efforts and manufacturing efforts, something can go wrong even in service. So it's very, very important, to keep constantly, assessing these parameters to ensure that no catastrophic damage happens when the equipment is in place, when the vehicle is in service. And like I said, to inspect for in-service damage also. All these things can be done, because I cannot bring an aircraft, I cannot bring a space shuttle, I cannot bring a train or a bus or a car. Regularly, I cannot bring these components to the lab and keep testing it. So I'll have to do it on the service. As it is being run, I'll have to do the services. And looking at the snapshot of NDT methods, there are many methods. So some of the main methods are acoustic emission testing, electromagnetic testing, liquid penetrant testing, magnetic particle testing, radiographic testing, ultrasonic testing, and visual testing. What I've highlighted here are some of the most important things, and probably I'll show you some snapshots and play a video in the end, which will give you some of these important processes. And other than that, of course, we have many things like guided wave testing, ground penetrating radar, laser testing, leak testing, which can be used for oil pipelines and things like that across desert regions, which are subject to a lot of corrosion, and then magnetic flux leakage, microwave testing, and then neutron radiographic testing, thermal and infrared testing, and vibration analysis. Okay, so some methods I have listed here. There are a lot of methods, 30, 40 different types of methods, and a lot of innovations are going on in some of these methods on how to do this, remotely also. You need not actually be in the place of the site. You can do some of these operations remotely also. Digital ultrasound, digital radiography, and most of these things are now coming up. So I can sit here and I can do an assessment of a component which is many miles away from me. And very quickly, I'm just going to go through some of these, because in the end, I want to show you some snapshots and I want to play a 15-minute video. So I don't want to eat up a lot of time in this. So some of these methods, for example, visual testing is basically, you use a borescope or a fluoroscope or even a microscope, for example. You are just visually looking at the component. Always the first thing that an NDT person should do is you should get the component on the table and try to visualize what went wrong. So most of the problems, you can detect it visually itself. Only when you are not able to use some of these methods like magnifying glasses or mirrors or borescopes, things like that, if you are not able to use these visual equipments to find out the extent of damage or what the damage is all about, that is when you need to go for several other higher order testing. And one of the basic fundamental testing that most industries use, even IGCAR, Kalpakam, they regularly use this for most of their components, is called the liquid penetrant testing. Liquid penetrant testing. Basically, liquid penetrant testing, what is done is, any material which is suspected to have a damage, it is coated with a fluorescent dye, and then, or it is dipped in a fluorescent material as such. And then the material is allowed to seep inside this. So any surface or subsurface cracks, if at all it is there, this fluorescent dye will sweep inside the surface. And then what happens is you apply a developer on the surface. You spray it with the developer, and then the developer will extract all the penetrant which has penetrated onto the surface. So and then if you put it in under the UV light, you can see that there will be a fluorescent glow. Like you can see here, there is a fluorescent glow on this component here, which means wherever the dye has been absorbed from the surface, it will show, it will glow. That means there is a small surface crack or a subsurface crack at that particular place. So this is your liquid penetrant testing. And then ultrasonic testing is, basically what we do is we introduce, you can see here, this is ultrasonic equipment placed on a shell. Okay, so on some kind of a tubular thing which could be carrying some oil or some other corrosive material. So he's having a probe here. You can see the person is holding an ultrasonic probe. So what he does is he sends sound waves inside the material. He will send sound waves through this probe, and the sound waves will enter inside the material, and it will penetrate the material and it will come back on the other side. Either we can have a similar receiver probe on the other side, or you can have a receiver at the same place itself. We call it, single probe or a double probe. You can use a single transducer or a double transducer for this purpose. And therefore, you can record the observations here. If there is no defect, it will travel fully and come back. Therefore, I will get a single echo. If there is a defect, then I will, the defect, the sound will hit a defect and come back faster. Therefore, based on the peaks and valleys of this particular, defects, I can tell whether there is some defect inside the material or not, and I can tell what is the distance of this discontinuity from the surface, and even I can tell what will be the thickness of the specimen also. So ultrasonic testing can be used for finding out the thickness of very small specimens also. And then we have something called electromagnetic testing, which is popularly called eddy current testing. But since it also has other kind of testings like alternate current and remote field testing, we generally bracket it under a category called electromagnetic testing. So whereby what will happen is, like this, you can see here, there is a small coil. This coil is carrying alternating current, and when it is brought closer to a material, which is basically a conducting material, then what will happen is secondary currents will be introduced into this material. Okay, so these secondary currents, okay, which are called eddy currents. So these secondary currents will intercept the magnetic field around the primary coil, and then because of this, what will happen is any defect, if it is there, then accordingly on the monitor we will be able to see a different pattern of these defects because of this interaction between the secondary eddy currents and the primary magnetic field. So based on that, I can tell, whether there is a defect on the surface or not. Okay, different kinds of innovations are available in this. Okay, different kinds of probes can be used based on whether the material I am inspecting is a completely a solid material, or it is a hollow material, or a tube, or whatever it is. Okay, and then of course radiographic testing is something that, just like how we x-ray ourselves, you go to the hospital and get an x-ray done, and that the film is placed in front of us. So there is the x-ray machine behind us, and when we stand, the x-ray actually penetrates our body and it's exposed. So the denser areas are captured on the film, and the less denser areas, the very, very dense things will not get captured on the screen, which is why our ribs gets captured and not the internal organs, because of the density. So the contrast is a very important thing as far as radiographic testing is concerned. So the same thing here also, you have a material here,